What's up everyone, I'm Gooshy, and in this video we're going to be going over the new bow that got added to the game called Sugaru Sight. We'll talk about what this bow does, how good it actually is, and if it's worth using. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so Sugaru Sight legendary perk says it shoots up to 3 arrows at once if you have enough ammo. And so if you've played the single player, this is exactly like the charm of Sugaru Sight. In the single player, it also gives us more information on how this bow works. When aiming the bow, it takes 1.75 seconds to lock onto a target's head. To use this, we do have to switch to the multi-shot arrow. So as you can see, there is a reticle, which marks the area on your screen at which it will lock onto someone's head. If an enemy is outside this reticle, they will not be targeted. And so for the enemies that are targeted, a white spinning marker will appear on top of the enemy's head. And then once you draw your bow all the way back, that marker will then turn red, signifying that it has locked onto the target's head. If you do not reach this red state, the arrows will only do a body shot, which will result in a lot less damage. Now if there's only 2 enemies in view of the reticle, since you are still shooting 3 shots, 2 of the arrows will shoot to the first enemy located within the reticle, and then the third arrow will lock onto the second enemy. So technically there is a way to target specific enemies with 2 arrows, but in most cases within combat, the aiming mechanic does leave you with not much control over which target you specifically want to hit. And so similarly in Legends, this bow does require you to switch to that specific ammo type which shoots the multi-shot, but in this case the reticle is a bit bigger, which makes it a little bit easier to aim for targets. Now if we try to aim for these targets, as you can see, we come across one of the first major drawbacks of using this weapon. Right now I do have aim assist on, and because of the aim assist, it automatically locks onto enemies' bodies. By the way, if you aren't using aim assist, I highly recommend doing so. All of the top players use aim assist, making it a lot easier to land those headshots. And so as you can see, because of the aim assist locks onto enemies' bodies, in most cases it takes other enemies outside of the reticle's view, making them not targetable by the multi-shot arrow. And so if you are using this bow and you like using aim assist, these two do not make a good combination. And because you're going to be switching between single shot and multi-shot, mostly to preserve ammo, aim assist will have to be turned off. On a side note, this multi-shot does work with the perfect parry, as there is enough time to land those headshots and lock onto the enemy's head. Next, I wanted to go over another issue with this weapon. For some reason, you cannot get headshot refund as a perk with Sugaru Sight. As you can see on other longbows like this epic one, we do have that option to have headshot refund. Because of this, you will be running out of ammo a lot, making you rely on ammo stations, smoke bombs with munitions, or the hunter's second perk called resupply, where you can refill 30% of your ammo for resolve, but you will have to give up status damage, which is another option, or my personal favorite, bow and blade. Now moving on to the next topic of damage. Because we can target the same enemy with 3 arrows all at once, let's take a look at how much this does. Let's try it out on this purple Oni Lord right over here. It does do a decent amount at 12 bars of damage. And so this is definitely faster than a regular bow when you have to draw it all the way back, as you can get 3 times the damage in the same amount of time. However, if you have been playing the hunter for a while now, you know that the regular shots with your bow is not your main source of damage. Most of the times your arrows are specifically used to get quick headshots to build resolve really quickly and get your ultimate as fast as possible. Your ultimate does something very similar to this bow's perk, where you can hit multiple enemies at once, but it does a lot more damage and isn't limited by a reticle, letting you hit all enemies on your screen. So for at least the current meta, because this bow, with the multi-shot at least, can't get you those quick headshots, isn't made to build resolve really quickly. Instead, I think the strengths of this bow lie in targeting one enemy with 3 arrow shots to get that big burst of damage. To me, it really doesn't make sense in targeting 3 enemies, as it is pretty hard to line up 3 enemies within that reticle and fully draw back your bow to get your maximum amount of damage with the headshot. And so some of you have been asking, if I do not have the skipping stone bow, is this a good alternative? And I'd say no. In most cases, I actually recommend using an epic bow just so you can get those quick fire headshots and build your ult up as fast as possible. Now instead of just hating on this weapon, I really want to make suggestions on how Sucker Punch could make this better. And I have two solutions. One is to just add that headshot refund perk. I really don't understand the reason why they didn't add it. Maybe because it auto-locks onto an enemy's head. Sucker Punch maybe thought that the player didn't earn the headshot, thus not giving free ammo. But I do think that because of the long draw speed and the requirement of lining enemies up within that reticle is a fair trade-off in getting those ammos to refund. Keep in mind that if you do not draw your bow back all the way to full and the reticle does not turn red, it's still a body shot, making the headshot refund perk not proc. This leads me on to my second solution, which is to make all shots headshots. Even if the bow isn't drawn back all the way and the reticle doesn't turn red, you'd still be able to build up resolve really quickly and use your ultimate. In this case, the trade-off will be that you will be low on ammo most of the times, making you rely on other forms of ammo refunds, but you still get that big benefit of fast resolve gains. And I think this would make it a really good alternative to the skipping stone bow. The goal would be very similar, where both legendaries build up resolve really quickly, but Sugaru's sight would just be a little bit more reliant on ammo. Hopefully there are some changes to this weapon, as I do think this is one of the weaker legendaries in the whole game. The hunter already is pretty good, but I do like to see different options to possibly change the meta and the playstyle for each classes. But I'd like to hear you guys' opinion on this. What do you guys think of the weapon? Do you have similar opinions? Or do you actually like the weapon and use it in some other way I haven't thought of? Let me know in the comment section down below and let's talk about it. But with that, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please drop a like and consider subscribing, as this is the place to find all your Ghost of Tsushima content. As always, thank you guys for watching. Hope to catch you in the next one, and GG's.